Hello again, most esteemed viewers. My name is Jekyllstein Gray, and today we are starting Act 2 of Betweenside. I say today, I mean this video, because I recorded another episode and uploaded it today. So, yeah. What is view pages? Oh, these are what I did. These are all the stuff I did. Oh, sorry. Previously, and alright. Let's start Act 2. I have no idea what's going on because I thought the story kind of felt like it ended at the end of Act 1, but I became more than a man. I became a memory. Oh boy. Spider. I don't like spiders. Ah! Monday, January 10th. Wait, what? Wait, this is the same. What the? Yeah, it's the brandy, what's this? The bells sang silently in the church tower, a crow cawed. In the graveyard a mist descended on a solitary figure, too focused on his study to notice the slick chill of the dusk air. He had been there each night for many weeks, watching, inferring, deducting. Suddenly the figure rose. A flash of inspiration had come upon him, a truth revealed of a terrible but glorious nature. He returned to his home to begin his monstrous experiment. The graveyard keeper never saw him again. Sorry, I just need to get my phone within reach so I can keep an eye on the time. We're gonna live with the pain. When Vincent Trezillian's service was concluded, he could exploit the call. Okay. The ivory trade, yeah. I'm actually not gonna light the fire this time. Instead, it made the shadows angry at me or something. Got the mask. Stopping for a moment at the edge of the market, the woman gazed over the stalls and the people. It was a hot day in Kabul, and the tempers were raised. The usual shouts of the sellers were tinged with actual malice. She saw an English soldier point at a vase and shout to the man trying to sell it to him. The incident grew violent, and the woman watched the soldier walk away with his prize. Then it's English. They're such... For a while, when Vincent was young, Venetian masked balls were all the rage in London. This mask allowed him to be... okay. Night of Time of Wonder. Yeah, this is... You've done all this before. Okay. This feels vaguely like Nietzschean or Randian. Younger nephew again. I don't regret my choices. So this is weird because it is different. Artist stand-up model and model-it artist. She'd never been asked to paint a dog before. It was an unusual request for a portrait artist, but she wasn't in a position to say no to paying work. It was an easier commission than expected. The dog, like its owner, seemed content to sit in one spot for hours, lost in whatever contemplation suited them. The artist turned back to her work. She dabbed a little white paint on the canvas to bring out the shine in his eyes. Okay. You open the wardrobe to find Vincent Trezin. Okay, collection of outfits. Yeah. We've done this before, so it is different, but it's also kind of the same. This is interesting. It goes to the elder nephew. There's that spooky figure again. What's going on? I don't think I clicked new game. I can't have. Okay, this is different. I don't think there was even an option. Huh. A raven perched on the metal fence surrounding Her Majesty's park. It startled as the man fell back into the railings. He looked up to see a baton fall on his head and slipped into a peaceful black. Nothingness briefly overwhelmed him. He became aware of the soreness of his joints and the cold air on his face, then the silence broken by a man's shouting. He opened his eyes and saw Johan, his friend and lover, standing over him. "We have to go," Johan said. On the ground lay the police officer, his head sinking into a pool of red apple. Whoa! So are these guys gay lovers, and were they being attacked by the police Hyde Park? I would count that as just normal. It's just a coincidence, because I think Hyde Park's a real place, except for all the other references to Clerval and Wollstonecraft and people like that. Interesting. We have to leave London, Lucian said. Escape to the countryside. 2 men were in a dark, discreet tavern. No, Johan replied. I can't. You'll be hanged, Lucian said. Johan gulped his beer. There's refuge here, he said, our community. You think you can just hide in a free and easy until this goes away? Of course not, but staying here is better than going it alone. You're a fool, Lucian said. So now I'm back in the mirror. The game auto-saved, and we have that awesome returning from the past effect. Here we got some books. Inside a shabby theatre on the wrong side of London, a crowd awaited the second act. Oh, here we go. The tattered curtain rose, and there stood Romeo, imitated by a disheveled middle-aged man. Juliet waited until her moment, then climbed the rickety wooden frame to her window. Romeo complained in terms of the morning sound and his flat, cockney tones. Juliet's performance, despite her youth, evoked the passions of all the greatest heroines in the world in one. She looked and saw her Prince Charming above the audience, and as she saw him every performance. This reminds me of a part of Dorian Gray. I can't remember but one of Dorian's love interests is an actress. There's the Wilson. We're gonna read about the forest this time, I guess. You know what dwells at the center of the great forest. Wild nature twisted into emergent sentience has purpose of its own. There has over the years been speculation, however. Some forests are thought to be our friends, providing us with building material, guiding lost children to their parents, taking only the lives owed by its community. Others are more capricious in nature, at times taking that which is not theirs, refusing to share of its essential substance. Sorry, I have like a tickling in my throat. Many have grown to despise us, harboring the enemies of material existence within their hearts. Do not wander these places, for you will not return embodying the same spirit nor soul with which you entered. So it's the same choice. I'm gonna leave him to the niece this time. I don't know, to see what happens. We'll let the darkness be for now. A ring? As the onion sweetened in hot butter, the cook thinly sliced a clove of garlic. He added it with a few handcuffs of cherry tomatoes, freshly picked from the garden, and a diced fig. A little salt and a splash of port was all that was needed to encourage tomato to become sauce. The cook tore a few leaves of basil from a plant on the windowsill and stirred it in. Sugars from the fruit began to caramelize and give the sauce its sweet but subtle flavor. It could pair wonderfully with salmon roasting in the oven. The butler opened the kitchen door. "Master has decided he would rather have a stew this evening," he said. "Live with the pain." A case that looks to have been for storing valuables. You find a single bead tucked into the corner. On inspection, you think it came from a necklace. The hinges have been pried off and the top removed. There is dust on the lid, but little on the inside of the box. It was opened recently. On the final revision Mr. Tresillian made to his will, he removed mention of his grandmother's jewelry. Perhaps this is why. Interesting. Sure, why not? See what happens. Wait, what does this say? I could have sworn I saw a something that said why, but I'm not sure. It's a Bible. A mist tinged red with dawn hung over the hills. The baker's son sat on a damp rock high above any road or trail. He was alone there, except for an old man walking a young dog far across the field. "Clerval!" he heard the man call when the hound ran too far. The boy thought about... there we go. The end. Pick up the book. It is titled The Misdeeds of Lord Artemis. Ah yes, perhaps one of the great scandals of the time. It happened when Vincent was just a child. A maid discovered the shrine in the family home's basement. When the butler first informed the constabulary, they almost refused to intervene. Who would believe that of a man of such high breeding? Besides, how could sinew and bone be contorted into such perverted forms? His defense that he was bound by compact to a maleficent darkness did little to save him from the tender release of the news. Oof. Honestly, I should give that to the elder nephew. There's the wine. The chair. There's the pages. What's this? Yeah, question mark is right. The coroner examined the policeman's body. A deep gash in the head, probably been hit by something heavy like a rock. Must have lost consciousness instantly. Doubt he felt any pain. Bruising on his knuckles, he defended himself against them, or maybe it was the other way around. Probably took too great an interest in the work of some Mary Ann's, one way or the other. The coroner heard of it before, too often. He reached down and picked up the pocket watch. It is a plain, fairly heavy instrument running at least a quarter hour slow. The metal is tarnished, and the quality of the construction substandard. It is quite unlike anything Vincent would own, and is not mentioned in the will. On the back it is engraved, "Always Eli." Let's put it on the table. Whoa! Here we go again. This lighter feels like, well, more lighter. Like it feels like it actually produces more light, although I don't know if I'm misremembering or not. I honestly don't know what these segments are or what they're supposed to be. But I am kind of intrigued by them, and I also... Are they just, like, on it? No, they can't just be on a timer, because then they would, like, start on a certain level. They would just start at seemingly at random. Whoa, alright. Now I'm outside again. Orders Claw's death, cheer to hell. So here's all the words I wrote. So am I playing... I'm guessing I'm playing as one of the figures outside? Although I'm not sure about that. Lucian returned to the table, setting down 2 new pints of porter. You've never been outside the city, have you? Johan said. No, Johan frowned. I grew up in this provincial town. When I left, I swore I'd never live in a place like that again. My dad begged me to stay, Johan said. Wanted me to take after him. Johan, my father said, here you have a job. Should I wish to waste my life pampering posh fools? Your family is here, he said, though it was not the one I would have chosen. How unfortunate to be born at a time like this. My family had it all planned out. Marry a local girl, take over for my father when he retired, live a life of comfort and mediocrity. Obviously that was never going to work out. Everything is too small outside London. The buildings, the communities, the mines. There was not enough room to be myself, and I refused to be anyone else. Compromise, Lucian said. We go to Birmingham. Johan shook his head. I will not stay here to be strung up, Lucian said, and I want us to stay together. There was silence for a few moments. Johan took a long, contemplative drink from his glass, then said, Fine. Interesting. In a secluded hut in a secluded corner of a secluded Scottish island, a noble lord was doing his noble work. Blood sloshed under his feet as he paced the room. Around him lay piles of sinew, muscle, and bone, rendered so unrecognizable from the human form that even he had trouble remembering from how many graves they had been taken. Outside, the locals eyed the building with suspicion. What was he doing in there? What were those unearthly sounds? Someone had sworn to sing a monster into the abode, then leave again. Yet who would challenge a noble lord? They knew better than that. A campfire truck from the Isle of... Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. I was shot into the truck, never left. Youngest nephew. Let's leave that to the niece. A shell exploded, sending mud and bones skyward. The young man, a private, fell to the ground and covered his ears. He didn't want to be in France, but he didn't want to be at war. He was supposed to be a baker, so I'm presuming this is Lucien. The private pushed himself up and grasped his rifle. Gunfire rattled around him. He could see a horse running without a rider and an officer with a piece of shell sticking out of his neck. The sick smell of blood suddenly overwhelmed the soldier. He looked down and saw a hole in his chest. He was supposed to be... Oh, crap. I'm supposed to be a baker. Diary entry 5. Question mark. A night I visit Betweenside. Title drop, I guess. Inside the room, but not. I skittered behind the wallpaper. I'm not sure I am human. So is this a ghost? Where are my eyes? The days are getting shorter. My time inside becoming less frequent. So Betweenside, I'm presuming, is like in between the world of the life and death. The time inside growing less frequent. I will never see outside again. Soon I will be one with them. Them, I. You thought something was written on the paper, but now it is blank. Interesting. What's this? The streets ran brown as torrents of rain mixed with the dirt of city life. So dirt's what we're calling it? Okay. Water ran through the posh streets, past the gentlemen's clubs and the champagne bars. It splashed against the carriage as two men climbed inside, their eyes meeting as one clasped the hand of the other to help him inside. Drains were overflowing, and the mud continued past the good streets and the bad streets and the middle streets with their middle people, ever the barrier between the two. It splashed against the stage of a pub, a working man's favorite called, let's see. There we go. I don't know. Diary 4. Entry question mark, 1821 question mark? How long have I been in here? This feels like years. Nobody comes to see me anymore except the inhuman shapes behind the wallpaper. And I must confess that I am not all sure that they are real. I have heard sounds around the house. My husband talking to what sounds like a woman. She's so well spoken. I hope I am well soon. Just blank paper. So, whoa. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here's some shoes. Hey, Ghosty. There we go. And again, I love the lighter idea and mechanic. Get back here, you stupid dot. Here we go. You need to read that letter once the power comes back on. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? Well, I'm waiting. So I'm presuming that. So who's the ghost? That's what I want to know. I'm presuming it's like Lucien and the other guy, Johan, and like. But I'm not sure. Whoa! All right. So now I'm one of the ghosts. So these are all supposed to be, I guess, fragments of memories. Oh, you know, like you write the words, and then you get a fragment of. You're just getting all these. I guess it's supposed to represent all your memories, like disjointed, and I don't know. What's this? I love it how it looks like something this looks like something you would see on Boundary Break, on an episode of Boundary Break. But it's made to be part of the game, What is that? Lucien and Johan took the train to Peterborough, then on to Birmingham. By avoiding the direct line, they hoped to throw out the constabulary. Birmingham was as dirty and noisy a city as London. It was a place where they could blend in, but one which afforded them few places to be genuine. Johan chanced upon employment at a firearms factory, while Lucien worked from the back of a tavern. They rented cramped lodgings near to each other. 2 years passed. 2 years passed in paranoid stillness, and the two stayed together, increasingly out of duty more than love. It was a cold January morning when they met for tea, as they did every Monday. "I'm thinking of moving back to London," Johan said. "Thought you liked it here," Lucien replied over his periodical. "I'm an excellent liar. If you're going back, then it will be without me. Maybe, Owen said. That's for the best. She sat in silence for a time. There's news from your hometown, Lucien said. I refuse to believe anything of note happens in Penzance. I am the very model of a modern major general. Disappearance of a society lady. Very mysterious. What is her name? Mrs. Anne Tresillian. You won't put down his tea. I have to go, he said. So are they part of the Tresillian family? Or not? Let's see here. What are these antlers? It had been some time since he had declared himself the master of the village. Those that heard him said he spoke with a refined yet cruel accent. None had ever seen him, though. Just sometimes you get a note through the door or a whisper from the corner asking you to do something or fetch something, and you would do it because we all knew what happened if you didn't. As a gentleman of the aristocracy and former soldier, people would often assume that Vincent enjoyed hunting. He did not. Tired of people's incredulity, he found these deer antlers at a jumble sale in the Cotswolds. Yes, he would say. I've been to the Cotswolds. It's an interesting region. Yes, he would say when asked if he hunted. That's one of mine, pointing to the antlers. This succeeded in finishing most conversations on hunting, as Vincent put on an air of having nothing more to say or learn about the subject. Sometimes a particularly nosy guest would inquire further on the trophy. Where did he kill it? Was it an exciting hunt? I would prefer not to talk about it. Vincent would say that deer was a very close friend of mine. I like how you have to consider what leaving it to, who leaving it to would benefit, you know. Yeah, so we're gonna leave it to the niece here. Let's see. Here we got another diary, another Betweenside diary. Below the forest tops, below the trees and branches and birds and butterflies, a little fox played in the crisp autumn leaves. Her name was... There we go. I don't know why it wouldn't just let me do like one name. Diary 3, 29/01/1821. My husband caught me staring outside, searching for the knot woman. He has fastened a covering on the window, so that I do not concern myself with things that might prolong my illness. My husband must love me so, he says. I do not know how long ago that was. Perhaps 2 days. Often it is dark. Sometimes I can make out patterns of the wallpaper, and occasionally I see a page well enough to write. Just another piece of blank paper. Interesting. Key. The mass nobility skittered around the great house. They danced, they schemed, they did unfortunate things when they thought nobody could see them. A servant carefully picked up a tray of champagne. She was tired, her arms ached, and the scent of overpriced alcohol was beginning to make her feel sick. She carried it through the main hall. The lady, wearing an elegant cloth mask of a raven, took lots of crows and ravens here. Look at glass. This raven had a different bearing to the other guests. There was something real about her. There was something in her pocket. What do you have in your pockets, sis? Oh man, what's that sound? What's that music? A man in the heavy red mask passed. Okay, my first thought is Mask of the Red Death. The servant offered him a glass, but he declined. She turned, and the raven was gone. You searched Vincent's dresser. The silver clothes are middle to decent quality, though all long out of fashions. Oh, yeah, I've already done this. Pantaloons. How fancy. Illegible smear of text. Oh, man. A. Who is A? I still... never, figured that out. Here we go. Here's another diary entry. The train rushed through the countryside, billowing smoke, caressing the trees that lined the track. On board was every character of life. A father come to visit his son, a lawyer gone to execute a will, a chicken inspector too tired to move down the train, and a cowboy weeps as he put down his spade. Interesting. So is the lawyer supposed to be who I'm playing as? History of My Esteemed Family was Vincent Tressilian's final work. It is comprehensive, covering the humble working route through the trespass into respectability. It includes an account of his mother's aunt, Mary Eileen Sneath. A scholar and prolific writer, much respected in her own time. Any good student of ancient history and forgotten knowledge will know her early work. Yet her later writings were seen as too metaphysical. Few copies survive of a study of the Roman blood emperor, nor the rituals of forgotten villages, nor the purposes of great forests. So those were written by her. Sneath. I've never heard of that before. I don't know. Spells and dances, songs and ceremonies filled these tomes. She was ostracized from society, but never her family, who embraced her new understanding. Well, that's remarkable. Perhaps there was something to her superstition, for none can remember if or when she died. The draft manuscript was completed on the day of Vincent Tressilian's death, and is only in need of a competent editor. Younger nephew. He needs to know the truth. And there goes the light. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be like a storm. You know, this storm causing him. Wow, that's really bright. I also like the fact that it's a lighter, because it implies that this is just, you know, since this is the 20s, the character I'm playing as probably smokes. And also, it implies that, you know, you came unprepared for this. This wasn't supposed to happen. You know, we weren't expecting, because no one's really expecting power outages. I also don't remember that being there. Interesting. I can't see my reflection because I'm a vampire. And let's see. I love this low poly aesthetic. Again, it works really well for the spooky, vague tone. And we got this tree thing. What is this? I can't believe I'm only just now, like, thinking about it. I mean, I had noticed it before, but I'm only just now, like, what exactly is this supposed to be? Let's see. Come on. What's that music? Where's that orb going? Also, why am I, like, repeating the same event? Let's see here. Well, there's another note and a key. Now I've got the key. Oh boy, now I'm above in the between side. Yeah, again, it just bothers me that this game has got, like, no... I mean, it's not perfect. I've complained about aspects of it in the past. And it's not, like evoking my, like, you know, like, it's not like, oh, this is the best thing ever, but it certainly deserves more than what it got, you know? Well, it had barely the money to make the trip, and he had little idea of how he would be received by his family. He hitched rides in wagons and farmers' carts and slowly made his bleak pilgrimage back to the town of his birth, Penzance. I am done making this joke. At least for this episode, esteemed viewers. On his return, he found the household in disarray. His father had passed some years ago, his mother a time before that. Your own sister... I love it how a time before that. It's just... because no one knows what happened. So Johan was a... Interesting. His father had passed some years ago. So, Johan's sister Della had inherited the position of housekeeper to the Tresillian house. Oh, so his family's like the downstairs family. I don't know if that's an accurate. I haven't seen like Downton Abbey or anything like that, but the disappearance of Anne Tresillian and the ineptitude of the patriarch of the house, Walter Della's job had become less valet and more governess, at least until she fell ill. Johan sat beside her in bed in the house he grew up in, a human little shack near the Tresillian estate. Okay, I like that this is not just a story about the aristocracy, but it's about the people underneath them as well. I mean, that my left-leaning political views are, well established by now. You finally come back to us, she said. Not forever, just until you get better. Delacoste, so you returned just to abandon me again. Sister, you know I had to leave. No, you didn't. Johan held her hand. Della looked him in the eye. I'll be dead soon, she said. No, you'll get better. Stop! I need you to listen. Lord Tresillian is a weak man. He can't protect his family. You need to stay and make what you did right. You want him to replace you, Johan said. Yes. Is he the groundskeeper? Yes. You know what Thomas did for Mum and Dad. We owe it to them. I'm sure the Tresillians won't have a problem finding someone else to change their bedpans. Stop it, his sister said. Just stop. She passed a few days later. Johan sat at the back of the train as Penzance disappeared from view. He must have been forgotten in London by now, so he was free to make a new life, one of his own. A newspaper lay on the seat next to him. Johan picked it up and opened it. Man, Mr. Lucian Wright, arrested in Birmingham over case of murder constable Mr. Edson. Oh no. A constable still believed to be at large. The train pulled into a small station just outside of town. Johan calmly and with purpose placed the newspaper on the seat next to him, stood up and alighted from... What does alighted mean? Just like got off? Or is it like jumped off? I don't know. The other servants and I returned to the house before dawn's light alerted the master to our absence. We waited for his return from the carnival. He strode through the door with a tenacious grin on his face. You enjoyed the festivities, sir? An attendant asked. Yes, I had a most constructive night. When evening passed, I was informed that one of my master's friends, Man, these names are... Some of them are really weird. Lucchesi would be visiting. Fetch that posh sherry from the cellar, I was told. I was at the back, where a pile of bones caught my eye. Something different about them. Wait, like piles of bones are so normal that these ones were different. Okay, that's a bit ominous. I shook my head and returned to the house with the bottles. So you just ignored a pile of bones? Live with the pain. Diary entry 2, 1701, 1821. Wow, so this is like a century before this game takes place. I thought I saw something out of the window the other day. A figure, human-like but not, staring up at the bedroom window. I think it was a woman. My husband admonished me when I told him of this, warning me that idle thoughts caused my illness in the first place. Perhaps he is right. I do ever so wish the sun is red. So, the person I'm playing as isn't seeing any of this. There's the figure. Having lost my pursuers, I ran into a deserted passage. Checking to see that I was alone, I knelt down and unwrapped the bundle in my arms, placing on the ground. A loaf of bread, 2 turnips, and 1 sprout. Wow, that is some basic food. I felt not proud of stealing from the market folk. My survival was worth more than my pride. Suddenly I heard breathing, so rose to my feet and turned. Not 2 paces away stood a man, 6 foot tall and clad in armor resembling the badger? What the hell's the badger? Not a badger, the badger. This heavy gauntlet crushed my nose, and I fell to the floor in a shower of blood and bone. Through blurry eyes, I saw him turn to leave. Why do you do this, Lord Gawain? I pleaded. Lord Gawain? He did not answer. You look out the window onto the street below. It is dark and raining heavily, but in the glow of a solitary street lamp you think you make out a figure. About as tall as you are, its features are impossible to determine. But it's staring at you. Something off of the figure, almost human. Wave. The edges of the creature's distort and convulse, yet its body remains motionless, too motionless, like a dead thing. Its gaze remains fixed on yours. So it does respond to waving. That's pretty cool. Let's see. We got letters. I think this is the 5th letter. The merchant ship creaked northward towards England, the port of Rio de Janeiro sinking below the horizon. 4 ex-convicts sat locked in the prison deck, so far from the land that had been their exile, yet still a ways from home. It had been 3 years since they had seen their family, their wives, and the land they worked indoors at. All they had wanted was a fair day's pay. I don't think they got it, though. Diary of Elizabeth Heidi something Trizillian? Yeah?
Abby and I are leaving.
Okay.
Rosie's here. She has some issues with her stitches.
Oh.
I'll take her later to the vet.
Alright.
Just so you know.
Okay, thanks.
Charlotte should be home in an hour or 2.
Alright. I really thought it was best. Okay, this is about as good a place as any of the Stop Esteem viewers. I think this is a longer video than normal, although I don't remember. That was my father. Father, I'm speaking in a British accent so much I'm starting to get it myself. Goodbye, Jove. Yeah, so I'm just gonna finish this up and get to a good saving spot, and then I'll be done. I must rest as I am to recuperate, my husband says. He would not like to see me writing my diary, but I managed to sneak a few pages in with me. Without my expressions, I would have nothing. He wouldn't understand. The doctor says my illness is a passing. Oh yeah, anytime a woman has a mental illness, in this area, it's always hysteria. I mean, not in reality, but that's what they always diagnose it as. And the best thing for me to do is to avoid all stimulation that might possibly excite me. My husband took away my books. He knows best, I'm sure. My Prometheus always knows best. Where are my eyes? Well, I got an achievement for, I think, reading all those notes. Escape. Why can't I? Wait, what? Keep noble. Okay, Ozymandias used to be. So here I'm in the Betweenside. The Frankenstein. So here's my thoughts on this. It seems like the character is forgetting whoever the ghost is, but they're getting these fragments and they're not. So that's why all the words come back. It's a pretty neat way of showing. And again, I love this aesthetic of, it looks like you're outside the game world. You're somewhere beyond the world, but you're still tethered to it, There's a kettle here. Walter Trizillian was a shell of a man. He agreed to give Johan the role his sister and his father had served for so many decades, or maybe he thought Johan was his father. There was confusion. Johan kept the house running. The Trizillian children were at least of school age and deemed mostly unhurt by their mother's absence. All except for the middle boy Vincent. Something was troubling him. Lucien must have kept his silence, for the constabulary never came looking for Johan. Decades passed, and the Trizillians grew up. They left to fight wars and forge dynasties. Man, nice job not snitching, Johan. Walter died after most of his children, and the last Trizillian retired to his family estate. Vincent never asked Johan about his past. There was a little unspoken affection between them, but they maintained the distance of their respective positions. The Great War waged and dwindled, and Johan became an old man. He sat in his favorite armchair and thought about his life. how it wasn't until he stopped running that he found peace and someone to share it with. It was getting late, and he would soon need to return to his own home. Eli would be worried. 2 days previous, Vincent had died, physically at least. In other ways, the life in him seemed to have expired long ago. There was a sudden knock at the door. Johan rose and opened it. A figure stood hidden in the rain. "Hello," they said. "I'm here to inventory the items left in the will." Okay, so that's me. Also, I like the gender-neutral pronouns. Nosing around his keepsake at this hour. So Johan is the groundskeeper. I guessed that. Alright, it's saved. Alrighty, esteemed viewers. I think this is a more interesting image to end on. So that's where we'll end. Thank you for watching. This is the last part that's going to be in like the homework communism playlist, because I'm going to have to, I'm not going to be able to record another episode before I have to talk about this with my professor. But I do plan on continuing this eventually, although I might take a backseat to something else. I want to continue Plague of Shadows, maybe later today, or maybe something else. I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe I just realized, Halloween's over, and I might as well, I do kind of want to continue Phoenix Wright, so maybe I'll continue Phoenix Wright. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I guess there should be at least one more video uploaded later today. Thank you for watching. Like the video, give it a like. If you want to be notified whenever I upload a new video, which is quite frequently, subscribe and ring the bell. If you there should be some more stuff on screen right now, or soon. I don't know about right now. Link to where you can buy this game, which I would highly recommend you do, as well as my Twitter and Letterboxd in the description below. Give it a like if you liked it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Liking, commenting, and subscribing really helps me with the algorithm, and I'd really appreciate those things. Plus, it helps my self-esteem, but don't do it just to satisfy my self-esteem. Alright, esteemed viewers, I have been Jekyllstein Gray, and I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye. I am the very model of a modern major YouTuber.